Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to all my friends around the globe. This is The Experiment. I'm your host, Joe Soro. Uh, Tonight's show is going to be a smorgasbord of sports topics, anything from Lakers, Dodgers, football, Super Bowl, Bill Belichick, Hall of Fame, maybe also some Australian Open if somebody wants to know some stuff about tennis. We got it all here. Again, we are the sports central of sports centrals. Matter of fact, I'm from the Central Valley of California, so that kind of makes sense. Kind of a bad joke, but I thought it was funny. Anyways, my good friend Gerald Glassford will be here. There's been an invite for our good friend Empire Jeff as well. If he chooses to show up, he is more than welcome to discuss some of the topics that we're going to be talking about tonight. To start the show, I know some of you were on Lakers Fast Break tonight discussing the Lakers Cleveland game, the debacle, if you will. The Lakers lost tonight by 30 in Cleveland, and I didn't get a chance to see the video. I don't know if they've posted it. They may have, but I haven't been able to look for it. But Cleveland put an emotional video of LeBron James up on the screen there in the arena, and LeBron got a little choked up. So everybody's been talking about it. I think everybody forgot about the game and just started talking about how LeBron started to break down. Does that mean something? Does it mean something? Every time we talk about anything these days, it's got to mean something. I don't know. I don't know, guys. What do you think? What do you think? Does this mean he's going to retire? Or is he just happy to be back home, even though he's from Akron? I always got to giggle on that one. Well, he's going back home. I go, when did Cleveland become the Akron Cavaliers? Yeah, but it's close enough. So by that logic, I grew up in the Central Valley. A lot of the reasons why I brought that up. So that means, and I'm close to San Francisco. Does that mean I'm from, yeah? Doesn't make much sense. Anyways, very emotional. LeBron broke down a little bit, wiped the tears off, then went on the court, and then everything was essentially good after that in terms of the emotion. After that, it was basically just a rout. The Lakers looked like they didn't give a damn. I mean, absolutely did not give a damn about the game, didn't give a damn about their profession, didn't give a damn about anything other than, I guess, just getting out of Cleveland. And I've heard some funny comments about Cleveland over the years. I remember whenever Phil Jackson would talk about returning, which he did return a couple times in his career, much like Michael Jordan, right? He would always use Cleveland as an example. Like, am I really going to want to fly into Cleveland in January when it's really cold and I got to get out of the airplane? Because, Phil was always ailing from back, leg, hip, knees, feet issues, right? And Cleveland was always the punchline. Do I really want to go to Cleveland? It was always Cleveland. You never talked about Detroit, never talked about Charlotte, never talked about Jersey at the time. It was always Cleveland. Is Cleveland that bad? I've never been to Cleveland, or at least when I was old enough to know. I did get baptized in Cleveland. I got baptized in Cleveland. I don't remember it. And my parents, I was born in Royal Oak, Michigan, a suburb of Detroit. And apparently I got baptized in Cleveland. So I don't know. Do they have good priests over there? Like, I don't know. Are they mean? I don't know. Anyways, I'm going to try to get to your guys' comments a little bit quicker than normal right now, because I will be having a guest or two on here. So I'll get to them right now. If you guys have any questions, go ahead and throw them my way. I'll answer them. And then once the boys show up, then it's going to likely be a normal talk show of us back and forth in randomly asking questions or answering questions. So I'll start off with Mr. JY. LeBron wasn't into killing his old team. His energy level wasn't there. It impacted the team. I think it was a combination of Luka hurting his ankle, Cleveland, road trip, LeBron not playing well. I guess that played a factor. It was an embarrassment, though, either way. And this is status quo for the 2025-2026 Lakers. Is the moment the hard times come, just quit. And that's essentially what I got out of tonight's game. Thank you, Extra. Appreciate it. Always do. Joe been pumping iron while these morons were in their cribs crying. I, the gym that I go to. The problem is there's a pro and con. Number one, it's close. I can actually walk to the gym. The con, though, is every asshole in the planet, especially every broccoli head known to man, goes to the gym, and they don't have hours that where they slow down. It's full the entire damn day. Doesn't matter if it's at night, in the morning, afternoon, at 4 or 5 o'clock in the evening. It does not matter. That damn gym is so full, and of course, it being January still. Usually, January is when everybody starts to work out again. And it didn't. I remember last year when I was going, it would not thin out. It didn't thin out ever. It thinned out maybe a hair. But there's always people there. I don't know if they need to build another gym nearby. They got to do it quick because I'm getting sick and tired of this, waiting for a bunch of jackals on their stupid ass phones with their stupid ass girlfriends and their stupid ass hair, trying to do the Smith machine when I'm trying to get my workout in. But anyways, that's that. When you travel every day, it might wear on you. Yeah, I understand that, but you're also professionals making $30 and $50 million a year. I think a little bit of obligation to the game, a little respect to the game, and respect to the crowd would be nice. Maybe I'm asking for too much. Do us Laker fans really believe that JJ holds LeBron accountable, or is he able to? So here's the problem with that, Jay. Why? If JJ goes full JJ, he probably derails the season. He knows that. LeBron is not one of those guys that handles criticism very well. He is emotionally stunted in terms of handling criticism. That's why he's never really had a stable coach ever in his career. It doesn't matter if it was in Cleveland, Miami. When I say stable, Spoelstra wasn't stable for him. He wanted to get rid of Spoelstra the first year, but obviously Mr. Godfather over there, Pat Riley, said, "Yeah, you're not getting rid of Spoelstra. I don't give a shit what you are or who you are." So LeBron has less than 2 months left in the regular season here, and we'll see what happens in terms of postseason timelines. But one way or the other, this is likely going to be the last year with LeBron, unless they win it all, which I don't think is going to happen. And JJ's not going to have to worry about LeBron's stuff. I think he'll be able to get angry at Luka. I think he'll be able to get angry at Austin should they retain him. But LeBron is not that guy. It's a little too late for that. And even in his prime, it was couldn't do it. And even if it was his prime, I guess his talent overlapped that. If you want to get technical on it. So yeah, I think JJ just needs to wait. I think JJ just needs to wait for the LeBron stuff to go, and then resign who's best going to work with Luka for the next 3 or 4 years, and then hopefully bring in some more talent. Hopefully dress somebody that has some talent as well that can come in right away and make an impact. And then at that point, I think JJ will have a better chemistry with those players and kind of be able to be a little bit more free. So I don't blame JJ for not going all the way with it, because it's just going to make things worse, and it's not worth it at this point. If LeBron was going to be here another 3 or 4 years, then maybe he'd have to figure something out, but he doesn't have to worry about it in about 2.5 months at the latest. Cleveland is part of that cold front back east. Again, they're playing in the cold too. They're dealing with the cold as well. That excuse wouldn't work with me. Opinion on Belichick not getting the Hall of Fame. This is an interesting topic. So I've been talking about a lot of these Hall of Fames, and it's sad. It's sort of sad in baseball a little bit the last decade or so, because I always thought baseball gets it right, but it always got it right. If they didn't get enough votes, no one got in, right? That kind of thing. Whereas the Pro Football Hall of Fame, they're gonna get 4 guys in there at least. Usually, there's a business type to it, right? So I was, in the last, let's say, 15 years, I've been questioning a lot of their decisions, and a lot of their decisions seem to be tailored to putting guys in the Hall of Fame that are on TV, that are on TV on the NFL Network, on ESPN, guys that are that are kind of familiar with the current culture, right? The ones that are not tend to not get as much attention because they're not quote unquote indirectly promoting themselves, right? I don't think those guys are taking those jobs to try to get brownie points to get in the Hall of Fame, but it does help because you see Kurt Warner, you see Bill Cowher, you see all these guys that are on there, and they become, oh well, you know, so and so was there, you know, I mean, we know, oh Bill, yeah, oh this guy, yeah. Belichick is a really weird one. It's weird how they've put guys in the Hall of Fame the last 15 to 20 years where I'm scratching my head like, really? Is this the Hall of Very Good or Hall of Fame? So Bill Belichick has an interesting career. Michael Wilbon of ESPN fame, and I think he worked for the Washington Post. Everybody knows who Michael Wilbon is. Does a show with Kornheiser on ESPN. Pardon the eruption. He had mentioned something. I think it was yesterday, and I again, I'm clueless, right? I don't know how this all works, but he had mentioned something, and it made sense. Did they not vote for him a little bit, not all the way? And I don't think you're going to be that naive, but did they not vote for him because they don't believe he's really retired? That's a question that I think I'd like to get an answer. I think the ones that didn't vote for Belichick are tuck-tailing and running right now. I think that and that's funny because the cover-up is always worse than the actual deed, right? To me, if I was voting for or not voting for someone and somebody wanted to know what the hell I was thinking, well, can you come out and give us a reason? I mean, you got to vote, right? But a lot of these guys, I don't even know who the hell they are. No one's really come out. Maybe they have, and I haven't seen it. Maybe they're not going to be, you know, I guess, ratted out until maybe tomorrow, next day. I don't know. But from a pure football and results standpoint, there's no doubt he's a first ballot Hall of Famer. But is the fact that he's not retired probably all the way from their eyes, and did Spygate and Deflategate, was that a little bit of a slap from that? Hey, we're going to put you in the Hall of Fame probably next year, but we're going to make you wait an extra year for the bullshit that you did. I think that stuff is something I want to know about more. And what you're getting right now from the J.J. Watts and the Jimmy Johnsons and all this, oh, I'm not going to go to the Hall of Fame now, and this is disrespect. I mean, it's like, guys, relax. A bunch of grown men acting like a bunch of little girls. It's like, dude, can you relax a little bit? Like, really? Is it that serious? There's people, half the people on the planet don't have food. You're worried about some stupid, you know, statue at the Hall of Fame. I'm wondering is, and I think again these days I don't know what's true. I don't know who's saying what, but apparently Belichick had said even if he does get in, he's not going to go to the Hall, which is interesting. If he does that, man, does the Hall of Fame really look bad? I mean, it would look really bad. That is the ultimate revenge, and you know Belichick has that in him. So what's next in the end here is what they're going to do is, like most cowards, is they're going to go after the ones that have the vote, and they're going to, those who chose these guys to vote, they're going to deny, they're going to play the PR game. They're not going to support these guys, especially with guys like Jimmy Johnson and all those guys who are in the Hall of Fame already. I think J.J. Watt, I can't remember if he's in the Hall of Fame or if he's eligible yet. But anyways, the key here is, does the cheating thing factor into this? And if it is, then that opens up a whole different box that's been kind of weird anyways this year in baseball, because they just let Carlos Beltran in. And the consensus there is that Carlos Beltran is in the Hall of Fame due to his player stats, right? Player stats. It's all about the player stats, right? Okay, that's fine. Then you have to also understand that if you're gonna bring in semantics, how about, why didn't you put Barry Bonds in before he started using PEDs? Because he was a 3-time MVP before he started using PEDs. Again, I don't give a shit if Barry Bonds goes to the Hall of Fame or not. I don't care about Beltran going to the Hall of Fame or not, even though I made a joke about it on my Instagram. The point is here, I don't care in the end. Like, it doesn't bother me either way. But there's always a question, like, really? This stuff is not consistent. And what it comes down to is, I told you guys on LFB tonight, and I've told you guys this before. This is where I keep telling everyone, people will justify what they think is right based on their feelings, not about common sense. That's the world. It's not just sports. People will justify certain group that they're in for doing stupid things versus someone else doing the same thing, but they don't like that group, right? Like that's how the human brain and the selfishness and the subjectiveness of it all is. I don't trusting in people's decision making is always something that you have to be careful of. What someone will justify based off of what happens, what wrong happens in that situation. Some people are very defensive. Some people will gaslight. In the end, here is that you got to go with your instincts. You got to go with your instincts. So I'm going to tell you what my instinct said, because ultimately, your initial thought is really the correct. That's who you are. That's really who you are. Now, some people will do that, right? And then start telling themselves, oh, no, it's different. Oh, no. This is why. Like, I'm talking about the initial thought. So I open my phone that morning and I read Bill Belichick, not a first ballot Hall of Famer. And the first thought I had was, what? So that means, for me anyways, this is someone who should have been in the Hall of Fame. And this is not even like a question. This is not even a discussion. It's just not. But let's come out of that. Let's just come out of that common sense area for a second. And this is not justifying anything, right? This is completely different. This is just me sitting here. Let's say I don't know anything about Bill Belichick. Well, I keep hearing that Bill Belichick is the best coach ever. How was he not a Hall of Famer? How does this make any sense? I always thought if somebody was the best at something, that they would have the highest honor. Well, he did get caught cheating. Okay, well, how did he get caught cheating? Well, he spied on a team, and some say he spied on a team during the Super Bowl in 2002 or 2001 season, 2002, right? So the Rams, when they play the Rams, they said that there was something there, right? And unfortunately for us, for the people to watch and care about this stuff, Roger Goodell had just taken power, I think, in 2005, and apparently that's when the noise came out. And then that dipshit burned the evidence, so we didn't really see what happened. And then Jimmy Johnson comes on today and starts yapping about how we used to steal signals, and all that shit, right? Oh, we all did this. That was the justification from Mr. Jimmy Johnson. So now I'm sitting there while everyone's like, yeah, Jimmy, you tell him. You go ahead and tell them. You're a Hall of Famer. You tell him. Now, I'm thinking, I'm like, what do you mean you everybody did this? What the hell kind of response is that? What do you mean everyone did this? Are you telling me during your two Super Bowl runs, you were doing this too? Like, now I'm sitting there and everyone's, again, cheering for Jimmy. Yeah, you go ahead and do it, Jimmy. Yeah, back it up, because Bill Belichick belongs in the Hall of Fame. And I'm sitting there going, what do you mean everyone was cheating? Are you just saying that? I don't think Jimmy would lie about that. But what has got me thinking is, you just ratted yourself out, and who else? What do you mean everybody did this? If everybody did this, why weren't they burning your tapes or the Steelers tapes or the Niners tapes? I thought it was a bad response. I thought Jimmy sounded bad saying it. And then J.J. Watt, who I like a lot, obviously T.J. Watt's his brother, and we love him here in Pittsburgh, or we love him as Pittsburgh, Steeler fans. JJ's all emotional, and I'm like, dude, what is your deal? What is going on here? Is the emperor of the NFL is like, it's like all we are the world with this guy. So like, there's so many different angles of this stuff that I'm looking at, and I'm kind of confused. I'm like, what's going on? This is like, I'm in like the Twilight Zone or something. The whole world is supporting Bill Belichick. When the hell did this happen? When the hell did this happen? And it happened. The evil coach, the evil man, is being propped up. Imagine that. Out of all the people, Bill Belichick. And then you start hearing about Bill Polian is a big part of this. Why would Bill Polian be against Bill Belichick going to the Hall of Fame? Why would he influence, possibly, allegedly, influence voters to not vote for him? Does he know something? Because now I'm interested in hearing from Bill Polian. Bill Polian, my first instinct on this is, Bill, we have a lot of people saying that you influence these voters. Now, I'm gonna ask you another question, because you probably didn't get asked this. Forget about you not liking Bill Belichick, New England. That one's easy to figure out. You possibly, allegedly coaxing people not to vote, whatever. I don't give a shit about that. I want to know something bigger. Did you know what was in those tapes? Did you know? Because Bill Polian is pretty tapped in. The guy built pretty much two like massively winning cultures in Buffalo and in Indianapolis, right? So I want to know, is there something you know, or do you just not like Bill Belichick? Something to think about. What was on those tapes? What was on those tapes? You know, the Deflategate thing was interesting. I thought that was kind of stupid. I don't even know, like okay, so a couple PSIs off the ball, they weren't fumbling and all that. To me, you're both playing with that ball. You're both sort of I know they exchanged the balls, but you're still playing with the same ball on the defense, right? Like, that one really never made any sense. I mean, it makes sense, but it's like, okay, what's the big deal if you deflate the ball a little bit? I don't know. That one was always a weird one. To me, my issue with Spygate is, number one, that idiot commissioner burning the material. We didn't know what really happened. And I think my assumptions is he was probably scared that it might cause a major problem if, in fact, it was legitimate footage of, let's say, the Patriots looking at all of the St. Louis Rams plays. Because for those of you who maybe were young, not born yet, in 2002, that Rams team was much better than the 99 title team. I mean, that was the year they were really the greatest show on turf. I mean, they were an absolute juggernaut. And the fact that we watched them play in the Super Bowl and get stopped, and then a couple of years later, they meet the Steelers in the playoffs in the AFC title game. And I remember Hines Ward saying they were calling out our plays while he was in motion. Now, my thinking there is, I don't know Hines Ward personally, but he seems to have a lot of integrity from what I've heard over the last 25, 30 years, right? What did he mean by they were calling our plays? You know, Belichick's known as a guy that knows how to coach, so we understand that. Did they know your plays because you're predictable? Do they know your plays because they were that good at looking at film? Right? Okay. What's the other part? Well, maybe the other part is they actually did know what the plays were. We'll never really know. So we can't, as Steeler fans, we can't say, wow, we got kind of hosed in that 2004 season. I don't know. I don't really think about it too much. The next question for you guys is it coincidental? And this is something that I'm going to take this home with. For those of you who don't know, after 2004, and then again, you had the findings not too long after that, Is it interesting that the New England Patriots didn't win a Super Bowl for 9 straight seasons? Now, they were the best team I've ever seen in '07, even though they lost the last game, right? Okay, they were still amazing, right? But when you look at the results at the end, like, it took them another 9 years to win a championship. Does that play into that? They figure some things out, or maybe it was just pure luck, right? Because the teams were still good every year. They were damn good in '07. They were the best team in the NFL in '07, even though they didn't win the title. They were a Wes Welker drop ball from winning Super Bowl 42 against the Giants, right? So maybe it's not that. Maybe I'm kind of stretching it out there. But there's a lot to think about. And in the end, I'd say Bill Belichick was coaching up some of the best defenses of all time before Spygate and after Spygate. In the end, I think maybe he would have been good. Maybe he doesn't win all his Super Bowls, but he would have won most of these, right? Let's say he doesn't win 6, he wins 4. But then again, integrity. We as a society we talk about integrity, and then as soon as someone drops the punishment on integrity, then all of a sudden a lot of people get mad about it. The whole Pete Rose thing. Pete Rose gambled on baseball, guys. He gambled every single day on baseball, and then he lied about it. And everybody's like, "Oh, you should be in the Hall of Fame. You should be in the Hall of Fame." It's like an echo chamber. It's like, dude, are you not getting it? Like, are you not getting what that guy did? It's not just the gambling part. It's the fact that he lied, he gambled, and he probably burned a lot of bridges in his time. They never wanted him back, and it's not who you think. It's not who you think. We're talking about some of the all-time greats that had a lot of influence. Guys like Frank Robinson, guys that did not want him in the Hall of Fame. And I always heard that Pete Rose and Frank Robinson got along. So I think Pete had a lot of guys that maybe were good to his face and pricks behind his back. Like a bunch of old ladies, a bunch of high school kids. So in the end, if you want to know my answer to this, let's say, they should have just let him in. They should have just let him in. But I also understand why they didn't. Mr. Glassford, how are you?
Good, man. What's going on? What's going on, everyone? Hopefully all is well.
Good. We're discussing the Hall of Fame snub.
Oh, you mean the part where 6 Super Bowls is just not enough if you're a coach? I guess not. So that's the, I guess if that's the line, Joe, that you cross. So no coach will ever be able to go in on the first ballot Hall of Fame if they don't win 7 Super Bowls. Is that correct?
I don't think it's that. I don't think him not getting in has anything to do with his stats. Yeah,
you and I both know what it is. Yeah,
yeah, it's Spygate, and I try to put
Deflategate.
Well, the Deflategate, a lot of that Deflategate stuff. Even though I'm not being naive here, I'm just saying a lot of that might have been maybe initiated maybe by Tom. At least that's what the evidence said. I'm just saying.
Okay, so give that. Let's just say Spygate 1, Deflategate 2. How many does that? That still leaves him 4 Super Bowls left over where there wasn't a controversy.
I don't like the response. I don't like Jimmy Johnson getting over there and going, we all cheated. That's a stupid response. I don't know if Jimmy was drunk on Heineken, on his boat, whatever. I thought that was a horrible response, by the way. If I was talking to Jimmy Johnson, I'd be like, dude, what the fuck? That was a stupid reason. Everybody was cheating? Really? That's just a that's dumb. I'm sorry, it is. It's dumb. And then, of course, all the keyboard warriors are online. I can't believe it. 99% of the people, 100% of the people, after they tweeted that, went out, probably jerked off and did whatever. Like, do they really care? Or are they just trying to get attention? Right? You know how there's what is his name? It was a comedic, Cheselnek. You know Cheselnek?
Mm-hmm.
The comedian? He had this great bit on what happens when there's a tragedy in the country and everybody starts yapping about, oh, I stand with this thing and I stand with that. All that is look at me, guys. I'm supporting something. And these are all grown-ass dudes. It's grown-ass men acting like little high school TikTok chicks. I think that's what's pissed me off about this, or irritated me, not pissed me off. Like, really? Like, every time I'm turning somewhere, I can't believe this injustice. Injustice for what? You guys really that naive? I'm surprised by it. I'm not. In no way am I not surprised. But what's with this? Oh, I'm going to get on my soapbox and say I'm not going to show up to the Hall of Fame. And I find it pretty ironic that Jimmy Johnson is saying this when he's one of the guys I thought that shouldn't have been in the Hall of Fame. I don't think he did enough. If you're going to put Jimmy Johnson in the Hall of Fame, yes, I know he drafted everybody. Yes, I know he's a great talent evaluator, a great coach. Yes, a good coach, very good coach. Yes. But if you're going to put Jimmy Johnson in the Hall of Fame, you got to put George Seifert in there. And you got to put Tom Flores in there. Just saying. To me, a great coach, what do you define as a great coach? Is it just winning a couple Super Bowls? Is it winning a Super Bowl? Is it winning 300 games? It's all of those things, right? I don't think Jimmy Johnson coached long enough for my taste. And I know this is going to hurt, but I didn't think Bill Cowher was a Hall of Famer either. Tony Dungy doesn't belong in the Hall of Fame. Joe Gibbs, yes. Joe Gibbs won 3 Super Bowls with 3 different quarterbacks. Chuck Noll won 4 Super Bowls. Belichick deserves to be in the Hall of Fame, but that cheating thing in Spygate it's always going to be a mystery because Roger Goodell fucked that all up. And we know why he did it, or I know why he did it. It's because he probably knew, can't prove it, but common sense tells me he burned those tapes because I think it would have been a threat to maybe a Super Bowl that might have been cheated, which is Super Bowl 36. Super Bowl 36 against the Rams. And God knows what else after that. Did they cheat in the Carolina one? Did they cheat in the Philadelphia title Philadelphia Super Bowl in the following year? We're never going to know. But the response from all these grown-ass men acting like little girls is just cracking me up. Anyways, that's a great question there, bud. Thank you so much. I kind of lost my place here a little bit. Thanks, Stefan, for that question. I was using the fitness centers up in Lake Arrowhead Resorts one time, and this idiot was yapping on his mobile the entire time for an hour or so, and I finally said something to someone. No way! Hey, Gerald, didn't David Arquette win the WCW heavyweight title once?
He did, yes. And let me ask you, Joe, I think you can answer this question. Where is WCW today?
Huh?
Where is WCW today?
Oh, it's in memories.
Yes, that's good. That's part of the reason why, right there.
Well, hey, look. Let's give him some credit here, though. He actually knew this was a joke, right? And he did prop up Booker T, right? Because he did an interview where he was in I guess the locker room with Booker T, and I guess they were having a conversation. And here's David Arquette. And I got nothing against David Arquette. I think he's in some of the funniest movies I've seen.
Well, he was promoting, I think, with Scott Kahn, a wrestling movie that incorporated.
Right. I remember that.
That was Vince Russo's call.
Right. And then when Arquette found out that Booker T had not ever won the championship, he felt like shit. Yeah. So props to David Arquette for at least recognizing it.
Yeah, he didn't want it. And then he tried to do later in life, because I think there's a documentary that came out like a year or two ago that he wanted to try and justify the means as far as being a wrestler. So he was doing like indie shows, hardcore wrestlers, and getting hit with light bulbs and things like that. I don't know for what reason, because there's a documentary on it. If you guys want to Google it, but yeah, it's just, again, the residual effects of that. It's not the main reason, but it's one of the reasons why you could just point to as far as the 83 weeks that they were on top to where they were when they gave David Arquette that belt, and yeah, just where they went since. So yeah, it's just.
Yeah, no bueno. Apparently, Stefan told David Arquette to shut the F up. So I guess he was on his phone in the gym.
Ah,
Good for you, Stefan. David Arquette or not, you had a lot of balls to do that.
I will relating to that. Freddie Prinze Jr. I did, he is a girl dad like us. He actually has, I think, a son and a daughter. But I saw him. We were at a Northern California with near Lake Tahoe with some as far as my wife's nursing friends and their families and whatnot. And it was actually the place where there was a amusement place where you go play mini golf and some other things, batting cages, some other stuff. This also serves duels at a ski lodge in the wintertime. But it was summertime, and I saw him, and you know what? If my wife and her friends had seen him, they would have gone crazy. They admit it. They told me later they would have gone crazy. But I saw him with his daughter in a moment. Just one of those special moments, as you and I both with girl dads. You have those special moments where you're just, they were just on the green, just practicing putting, him and his daughter, and I'm just like, no way, shape, or form do you want to mess it up. Hey, yeah, I saw you, and I know what you did last summer, man. You were great. You don't. I saw you Scooby Doo and all that. Hey, Fred, that type of stuff. You don't want to mess that moment up between those two. But he seemed like he really cool dude. He was around with his daughter, and I saw him interact, and yeah, he seemed like he was a really cool dude. So,
well, he wrote for. Didn't he book? Wasn't he a booker for a while?
He was in the writing room, one of the many writers for the WWE that they had for a period of time. And he still, I think, either podcasts or comments on the wrestling scene at this point in time. He's always tried to see if he could get back in it with his own promotion, but I don't think he has enough cash to lose. You got to have Jacksonville Jaguar money to lose before you can really be successful in the business.
Not
that's
bad.
For sure.
Not bad. So Jay says, in my opinion, they should try and trade for Giannis so they can find LeBron's replacement since he's tempting to leave. I was talking to the boys about this earlier today. I don't think there's enough assets. The Lakers don't have enough assets, number one.
Well, that's what I also talked to. I hint to you on the Lakers latest. I just recorded that before I got on, and I've said, unless he specifically asks, like he did with the Knicks, like he hinted the Knicks is where he'd like to go earlier in the summer. This summer, he hinted that. But if he said tomorrow, John Horst, hey, John, I really want you to work out a trade with the Lakers, even that would be difficult because you're just like buying 10 cents on the dollar. If he said tomorrow, Joe, I want to go to the Lakers, and you're responsible for making that trade, it's 10 cents on the dollar. You just don't have the assets. The only way the Lakers could do it is in the summer, Joe. Now hear me out. I'm theorizing is because the Lakers get 3 first round draft picks on draft day. So what they could do is they could draft someone that the Milwaukee wants, and then trade him along with 2 first round draft picks on July 1st, when the Lakers would be able to sign Austin Reeves to a contract and then do a sign and trade, if that makes sense. But that's if Milwaukee would really want Austin Reeves as the pinnacle part of a Giannis trade.
I'm going to stick with my guns and say that this thing doesn't get done till the summer.
I would say that's probably right. It's just so many assets would be needed right now, and they are getting a ton of offers. That was the reason why that report was made earlier today, is that they're getting a lot of offers. But if they really want to, someone's going to have to overpay. I know this seems hard to believe for Giannis, but someone's going to have to do an overpay to get Giannis within the next 7 days.
Agreed. Jay, they will clean house if they don't win the championship this year. Let's see, Jay. Does Golden State even have assets for Giannis? Even if he gets traded, there's just going to be him and Steph carrying.
Well, they have the money. They have Butler's money that they could use, and they have more draft. They have more draft picks now that they can use in a trade than the Lakers do. But then you're also counting on, okay, yeah, you have Butler's money, but what do you have on real players? Do you think Kuminga is going to be something in Milwaukee? Do you think Podziemski is going to be something in Milwaukee? Then it's just like, okay, what are you filling it up with? And that doesn't look too much more attractive to Milwaukee, I would assume, either. I think, again, it comes down to OKC, San Antonio, Houston, teams with real young talent that is actually good right now. I mean, Houston could send a Sengun. Uh, San Antonio could send a Castle and a Fox. That would, if they sent Castle and Fox, or no, Fox and Harper, excuse me, Fox and Harper, that would do the deal. Plus draft picks, yeah, that would do the deal. I would think that would do the deal for Giannis, because they probably wouldn't want to move Castle. So you'd say, okay, I'll take Fox because he has the money, and then you have Harper as the budding rookie there, along with some draft picks. I think that might do it, Joe. That would interest me if I'm Milwaukee.
Freaking CBA, man. This is all because of the CBA. Otherwise, this would have happened by now.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see.
Absolutely.
Silverhawk, thanks for subscribing today, by the way. Appreciate it.
Yeah, Silverhawk, again, he was on our show too.
I always wanted to see a player or a coach who was already a Hall of Fame come back and coach play. I can't remember if Joe Gibbs was already elected. I think he was. And yeah, he was. Yes, he was, because he was in NASCAR for a while, and then he came back because Snyder didn't know what the hell he was doing, and he put some stability there, but it didn't really last long. What Baseball Hall of Fame did to Pete Rose is shameful. I can't respect Baseball Hall of Fame after that. Pete Rose didn't get into the Hall of Fame because he burned a lot of people. I don't think there's any other reason why. He burned a lot of people. He pissed off a lot of people. Barry Bonds is a world-class jerk. World-class. I know a little bit about this because some of my friends have said I am a world-class jerk, so I relate to that a lot. So
not gonna deny that.
Right. So Bonds, a lot of times people's gift is also a detriment to them. Because Barry Bonds was so sure of himself and so in tune with who he was and didn't give a shit. I mean, I've told you guys this. Most people give a shit even when they say they don't. Almost all. But then there's a few of us. There's a few of us that really don't give a shit. And not giving a shit sometimes hurts us. I'm not going to lie. It does hurt me because it fucks up a room. And it's hard for me. I wouldn't normally even care a hair about it, but it affects my family and my friends. They're constantly in anxiety mode because if I'm in one of those where my eyes catch something, they're worried that I'm going to say something. Now, the benefits outweigh, at least if you talk to my family and friends, at least from what they've told me, the benefits outweigh the negatives. Is what's also great about me being a world-class jerk is we don't get a lot of problems our way. People stay away from people like me naturally. But those who are trying to scam you, try to create drama around you, they don't ever come around people like us. And I have my best friend, one of my best friends is very close to Barry. And Barry does not have any problems, guys. He lives a very good life. And a lot of it, I think, has to do with the fact that he just doesn't give a shit. And people will, he's very, very comfortable with who he is.
The thing is, though, with Giannis, does OKC want Giannis? Different moves is asking, can OKC get Giannis? If OKC wants someone, Joe, they can overpay anyone and get that individual.
But I don't think he wants to go to OKC
tomorrow. Well, it may or may not be his choice. I'm sure they want to accommodate him to an extent, but if he wants to go to a contender, there's no better contender right now than OKC. But if OKC wanted him and he said it was okay to it, they have more assets than anyone that they could give. More assets than anyone can give. So
tough. Andrew Jones got into the Hall of Fame much like how Ozzie Smith got into the Hall of Fame, strictly on one side of the game, which was he's arguably the greatest center fielder of all time. Ozzie Smith was arguably the greatest shortstop of all time. So there is a track record of elite one-sided players in the Hall of Fame. Mm-hmm. He was a 10-time Gold Glove winner in a time where they had Jim Edmonds and Ken Griffey Jr. playing. So that's like, what's a good comparison there, Gerald? It's like Barry Sanders dominating in the 90s when Emmitt Smith was around and Thurman Thomas, right? Like, I've said this how many times to everyone. Competition matters. When we talk about Kobe, and people talk about this, but it's not highlighted enough. The competition that Kobe Bryant had to go through with Shaq and without Shaq, so you can't use that excuse either, was higher based off win totals than anyone that's ever won multiple championships. We're talking about a player that was on two teams, not one, two teams, one with Shaq, one without Shaq, where he had to beat 4 50-win teams to win a championship. That matters. Competition matters. So Andrew Jones was the best center fielder against somebody like Jim Edmonds, who probably is going to get in the Hall of Fame too, and Ken Griffey Jr. That says a lot because they only give one Gold Glove a year, right? For a position. It's one in the AL. Now, Jim Edmonds was in the NL, but you know what I mean. When you're comparing best center fielders of all time, you have three guys of that era. And Andrew Jones, by the way, it's not Andrew. He actually cleared this out on the radio. It's Andrew. It's just because it's spelled that way, people think it's Andrew. So I understand that one. I understand that one. What I don't understand is if you're going to keep guys that quote unquote cheated are allegedly, and then you put in Carlos Beltran, who cheated an entire championship from a team. He was the guy. He was the flagship. What is worse for the league than that? Because you could also say, well, Barry Bonds was hitting off Eric Gagne. Eric Gagne was allegedly juiced to the gills. How about Pedro Martinez, Gerald? You know, we don't talk about this enough. Pedro Martinez dominated pitching and baseball. I'm talking sub 2 ERA in the steroid era. What the hell would his ERA be if it wasn't steroid era? It'd be Bob Gibson. He would have been Bob Gibson. He would have been 112. How about talking about that more? Pedro Martinez dominated for a decade against steroid-infused beasts and still whooped ass. That stat, again, back to competition, juice to the gills, competition. Talk about Pedro Martinez more. Talk about Kobe Bryant beating two runs, having 2 runs where his team had to win 4 series against 4 50-win teams. And in the last one he beat Hall of Famer Paul Pierce, Hall of Famer Kevin Garnett, Hall of Famer Ray Allen, and likely soon to be Rajon Rondo, Hall of Famer. Imagine that. That's competition, guys. That's greatness. And all that without a 75 all-time player on it, too, by the way. Let's not forget the Tuck rule. So the Tuck rule wasn't necessarily their fault, JY. That was just a stupid referee not being able to make the right call. Was thinking that a few minutes ago. Yes, it's a bit wild. Basically never won again until Brady. Okay, so here's another thing I want to clear up. This is something that I want you all to pay attention to, okay? This is the one thing that you guys got to stop saying. And I'm talking about all the idiots online. I'm not calling you guys any idiots unless you keep saying this. Who drafted Tom Brady? Bill Belichick. Who made Tom Brady the backup before he was a starter? Bill Belichick. Mind you, he had a bunch of guys in front of him. Who signed Drew Bledsoe to an extension? And then Drew Bledsoe got hurt for a couple months, whatever, and then came back and then decided, I am not going to win with Drew Bledsoe. I'm going to put in Tom Brady. Guys, Bill Belichick drafted, prepared, coached, and then eventually took the risk and put Tom Brady in. You can't say he wouldn't have been able to do this without Tom Brady. That doesn't make any sense. This guy at least drafted him, groomed him, and then started him in a time where Drew Bledsoe was in his prime at this point, by the way. He had already led the New England Patriots to a Super Bowl, and he probably would have won the Super Bowl if it wasn't for Desmond Howard. You can't say that. Even Phil Jackson came to a team that already had Michael Jordan. Even Phil Jackson came to a team in LA that already had Shaq and Kobe. Even Popovich came to a team that already had David Robinson. And even with him drafting Tim Duncan, it was a first overall pick. It wouldn't have mattered who the coach was or what planet you were on. Tim Duncan was going to get picked first. So you guys got to stop doing that. Bill Belichick, we don't know who the hell Tom Brady is, probably in New England at least, without Bill Belichick. Just saying. Bill Belichick did a lot of work for Tom to protect him the first 4 or 5 years of his career. And then that's when Tom Brady was able to hone in on his skill and become what he became. So you guys got to stop doing that. Bill drafted him, put him and put him in there when it was not a popular dude. Bill Belichick, there was anarchy on that team for a few years. Yeah, it was mutiny, man. It was bad, but they all won because of it. To me, Bonds, A-Rod, Clemens, all, and everyone should have been a Hall of Fame because what happens on the field. Yeah, but the problem is, what are you teaching everybody? Okay, well, these guys can still, allegedly cheat, and then just reward them anyways. Guys, this is something going on in society already. That's getting this is why shit's bad right now. We keep enabling people, screwing things up, ruining integrity of things, and then just saying, "Oh, it's not a big deal." Well, after a while, it starts to build up. That's how it starts. All of a sudden, stealing candy isn't a bad thing. Oh, he's just a kid. Then all of a sudden, he starts stealing items from the supermarket, toys, whatever. He's a kid. Then all of a sudden, that kid starts to steal stereos. And then he's got to go to juvenile hall or whatever. And then next thing you know, he's stealing a car. Guys, integrity here is starting to continue to dwindle. At what point is the crime going to be paid? And Clemens, A-Rod, and Bonds have pretty much killed any chance, in a good way, of any of these stars ever getting on juice. Baseball is strict. They don't care who you are. If Ohtani was juicing, if Trout was juicing, they would have caught him. They are on it. They got tired of the PR hit. They're on it. They ain't going to mess around. If they popped A-Rod twice, if they popped Manny Ramirez twice, they will pop anyone. Let's see here. What else? Spygate, Deflategate, treating media like shit, treating Brady like shit. So the treating of Brady like shit, that one I was always confused with because it ended up costing him a Super Bowl. Would you agree, Gerald?
Yeah.
If he had just stopped, if you just played it out, it would probably have been New England in the Super Bowl in 2000. Would it be 2000? Maybe they would go in 2019, but probably for sure 2020. I don't know. We'll never know, but one of them maybe. Let's see. Trying to catch up to this before I get too creative. I think it makes the Hall of Fame voters look like idiots. Well, at this point, it seems like all the guys that support Belichick are going to make sure it's that.
Oh, he won't get turned down again, but yeah, I'm sure he'll let them know his displeasure when he finally.
Well, he said he's not going. If he doesn't go, and I believe him when he says that. If he doesn't go, it's already bad right now. If he doesn't show up, their job right now is to go over there and say, "Listen, we screwed up. Please show up if we elect you next year." And if I'm Bill Belichick, I'm like, "Fuck you. It's over. I'm never showing up."
Hung, you're right. They should. Dodgers should loan the Angels some players so that they can compete next season. Do I think the Angels will trade Mike Trout next season? Doesn't really matter at this point.
I don't think he wants to leave, Gerald. I think he's comfortable there.
At this point, he is shot.
Gerald
not
and
the same
Joe is
player.
like Snickers bar and a Twinkie mixed together. That is the gayest comment I think I've ever heard in my life. Joe ruined my life. I'm the biggest George Springer fan. I'm glad I ruined your life because anybody who likes George Springer should have their lives ruined.
I can't. What good? I mean, he's what, a 220 hitter now. It's all over. He's just a shell of himself. I hope he can come back. I hope he can turn back the clock. But yeah, he's just bad. The Angels years ago, I said on the air again, and Jamie, the super Angels fan that he is, was like shocked that I said it. Should have traded. I said on the air they should have traded Ohtani and Trout at
They,
that point in time.
they don't care. He doesn't give a shit. And Mike Trout, this is my thought on this. I don't have any proof. But remember when Pujols signed with the Angels? You know who the catalyst of all that was? His wife, who he divorced eventually, right? By the way, right? Mm-hmm. They all wanted to live in Orange County and Newport Beach and Huntington Beach and Spectrum. They're comfortable there. Orange County is a very comfortable area. It's the perfect spot for rich people that don't have to deal with the rich bullshit. So what I mean by rich bullshit is in Beverly Hills, you can't wipe your ass over there without some neighbor diming you out for scratching your ass. They're all nosy. They want every bit of your money over there. In Orange County, it's like a big town, so it's a little lax. It's so lax that Kobe Bryant, God rest his soul, used to be able to go to the Baskin-Robbins and not get mobbed. If Kobe walked out of Staples for 5 seconds, it would be like ants after a grasshopper, bullet ants after a grasshopper with a busted wing, right? So that's the appeal for a lot of the significant others. And I think that's probably why, because everybody was like, oh, he's a Philadelphia guy, and Mike Trout. He's a Philadelphia guy. He should ask to be traded to the Yankees or the Phillies. I'm like, dude, do you really think his wife wants to live in Philadelphia? Definitely not New York now. Hell, it's even 20 years ago when it was awesome, or even 10 years ago when it was awesome. It's too hectic. It's too New York. People want to live by the beach. Relax. Have you ever been to Newport, guys? For those of you who have been in California, Newport is
nice.
I mean, chef's kiss with both fingers.
I stayed there last year.
Yeah. My brother-in-law loves to rent a house there for the 4th of July time. Oh, yeah. And of course, we got to be covert ops trying to find a parking spot around there. That's the only problem there.
Yeah, good luck.
Yeah. So Trevor Lanes says, Joe, need you on Lakers Nation to discuss LeBron and Bronny James. Email me back, Chief.
Or Shaif.
Yeah, Shaif. Joe, I got a question for you. Do you think we make a move to boost the roster before the deadline? If not, are we giving Rob a free pass? I'm not giving Rob anything. I want Rob gone at the end of the year.
Sorry, Stefan.
My boy Jeff said something on one of his quick shorts today that was in line with what I was thinking. They're probably going to make a marginal transaction, but nothing major.
I mean, that's something we've been talking about for weeks and months because they just don't have assets. They don't have anything to get a big trade for. They just have fringe stuff. So all you're going to get back is fringe players. This is something we talked about a lot. Empire Jeff does a good job reporting on the Dodgers and whatnot. But yeah, this is not like it's news to anyone. The Lakers just don't have enough stuff to get out in a big deal. I mean, yes, they can get a player that might help them out. I don't think Keon Ellis is going to be that guy because I think a lot of teams are going after Keon Ellis because he's this mystical player who seemingly can't get by. And he's a good player. Don't get me wrong. He's a good young player, but somehow is he so good that he hasn't been able to get by Russell Westbrook and all these other old guards in the lineup, and he hasn't been able to get enough PT. When he's been given the opportunity to start, he's played okay, but he always gets moved back to the bench. I mean, he's a good player, but I don't think he's the life changer that a lot of people talk about. So yeah, the Lakers just don't have the assets. So when you have a small amount of assets, you're just going to get a small amount of help in return.
Agreed. JY, didn't Belichick bench Malcolm Butler and cost New England a Super Bowl? So
I think they did. I think he did.
There's never been an official reason. There's not even been a rumor on what exactly happened where Malcolm Butler wasn't allowed to play in that game. So if Malcolm Butler's in that game, Philly doesn't score 41 points?
I don't think he does. I don't think they do.
So I'm going back to punt. You do something wrong and you have to deal with the consequences. So they don't win the Super Bowl, but Malcolm Butler learned a lesson in life, right?
Yep.
That when you screw up, this is what happens. The question is, we don't know what he screwed up. That's the thing. We'll never know why. Maybe they were going after the same girl, Gerald. Joe, honest thoughts on Shedeur. Jan Sanders made the Pro Bowl. Son, it is... I'm kind of trying to enjoy the night tonight. I don't know if I want to get on I don't know if I want to bring my trident and aiming it at Roger Goodell. Roger Goodell is a piece of shit. That's why. He's made a mockery of the Pro Bowl. And Adam Silver has destroyed the NBA All-Star game. This is on them. The reason why Shedeur is making the Pro Bowl and making a disgrace out of that. They need to remove Pro Bowl off of statistics now.
Now that's on his resume, Joe, forever. Yeah. Now he's a Pro Bowl player.
Shedeur,
7-10, Joe. 7-10.
Shedeur has one option, and it's going to happen soon. One option in staying in the NFL. And I highly recommend that he focuses on being a lifer backup. He'll have a career for the next 15 years if he does that. That's it. That is it. Mason Rudolph style. Shedeur Sanders in Cleveland on top of all the places that he could have gone. If I was him and I got drafted by Cleveland, and I was desperate at that time, I still wouldn't have went to Cleveland. Stay away from Cleveland. Stay away from Cincinnati. Stay away from Arizona. And for the love of God, stay away from the Jets. Only the Peyton Mannings of the world, the Joe Burrows of the world, the Patrick Mahomes of the world can save those franchises. Anyone that's below those guys' skill, you're asking for hell. And just imagine that. Sam Darnold is 60 minutes away from winning a Super Bowl with the Seattle Seahawks. And he might be the Super Bowl MVP too. Him or SJN. I think it's going to be JSN. Sorry, JSN. That guy's something else, man. Him and Newcomb.
A lot of money on that right now, Joe. I'm just telling you, you're in Vegas.
Good. Pro Bowl officially and the Hall of Fame officially has hit the shitter in 1 week. Trout is on a 12-year extension. He's not going anywhere. And he doesn't want to go anywhere. He's never wanted to leave. George Springer, cheater, and a horse's ass. Couldn't have said it better myself, Johnny. Thank you. Mike Trout is having too much fun with the snow bunnies in OC. He's married, son. Then again, he might play with the snow bunnies too. I don't know his lifestyle. Let's see here. Joe and Gerald, can you list the top 5 peaks of all time in basketball? It can be 1 year or 2 or more peaks. I think I have Shaq, Kobe, Wade, KG, and Hakeem. I'd love to hear yours. That's a fantastic question.
I'd start with Magic. The Bird Magic. It started off with the Bird Magic National Championship game and led into the Magic game.
I think he's talking about the season, the peak ability, like Shaq in 2000 or.
I think that's a hurdle. That was a hurdle for the league, and as far as its players are concerned, as that year in 1980, when.
I think he's talking about the peak. Is it okay? Maybe he is talking that.
So when he's talking about the peak of the when it really went to a next level. I think Magic took the Magic Bird stuff as far as 1980 when Magic first won that title against Philadelphia. I think he helped take basketball to a new level. Then you could also talk about, of course, Curry when he won, taking that style of basketball to a new level. Of course, Kobe, Shaq. That's up to you as far as. But I'll let you elaborate on the peaks, and of course, don't forget Jordan as well.
Okay, so peaks, if in terms of impact, because I was thinking individual. Okay, here let me get back to different here. Peak as in the pinnacle level of their game. So I thought that's what he meant. So he's talking about Shaq in 2000. He's talking about Hakeem in 94. So here's some of the stuff from let's go with what I know. The 80s, 90s and beyond. Magic's best season was 87. Mm-hmm. Larry Bird's best season was 86. That was peak. Jordan, I mean, 96.
I'm looking at that right now.
It's 96, or I'm sorry. The reason why I say 96 because he was 72-10. They won the championship. He was the MVP. He was Finals MVP. He was the All-Star MVP. But in '88, he was an MVP, Defensive Player of the Year, dropping 32 points a game. Like he was I think Jordan had probably three really, really just like 92. They said was amazing too.
What about 86 when he averaged 37 a game?
Yeah, so Michael might have had 4 or 5.
That's what I was, because I'm looking at it now. I remember him in 86.
Shaq had 2000, but I actually thought he was better in 2001. For sure, Shaq had 2. For sure. Mm-hmm. Kobe, 03, 06.
Yes, 06.
I mean, 03 and 06, Kobe was disgustingly ridiculous, right?
I would 06. I would be on that hill.
Yeah,
06, yeah. I was going to get me off that hill.
So what else? LeBron in 2016. I mean, he was pretty good in 12 too, but 16 was like that's probably his one.
And right behind him, you'd say what in that range, Kevin Durant. I know we went back and forth on this as far as
Durant 14, I guess, when he won the MVP. Yeah. But I don't know. I'm thinking pinnacle level. I don't know. Steph Curry in 17, sure, but not really. I don't know.
Steph Curry in 17, they said? No, because I would say Steph Curry in 15.
We're not talking about prime, guys. We're talking about peak seasons, like dominance. Some of these guys only had 1 year where you're just like, whoa, right? Maybe 2. Yeah. That's it.
I'd say 15. I mean, even though it wasn't statistically his best, he was still averaging 30 points a game on 45% shooting from 3.
What Laker player from 2008 to 10 would you add to the current Lakers roster? Not Kobe, counting Kobe? If you're not counting Kobe, definitely Pau Gasol. Pau Gasol would solve a lot of problems on this team.
A healthy Andrew Bynum is what I would say, but
I'd still pick Pau.
No, Pau and Bynum along with it.
So Garnett his peak year was 04. He only really had 1. But Kevin Garnett, Durant, Curry, I don't know. I was never there was some fear of Steph Curry. Don't worry, don't get me wrong. You scared because he could shoot the ball from anywhere. But there's a reason why it took him forever to win a Finals MVP. He got neutralized a tad bit in the longer the series went. It's just how the games played out. I'm not trying to hate on him. I'm just saying. Once you got deeper in the playoffs, you didn't worry about Steph as much because they were on him. He's a small guy still, and they got close to him and they battled him a little bit. Playoff, refs let you kind of dig in a little bit more than they do in the regular season. I was never afraid of Durant. I was never ever afraid of Kevin Garnett. I'll tell you what, Paul Pierce scared me a couple times. out of that Dallas team. I'm sorry, Boston team.
Nikola Jokic, you could say his peak was last season going into this season until he got hurt. And that, because you look at the stats, you look at what you saw out there, he was achieving greatness on as far as from the offensive standpoint. I mean, triple-double, but the efficiency, he was shooting 44% from three at the time he got hurt this season, averaging 30 points, 12 rebounds, and 11 assists. Kind of peak, Joe. Right there.
Does it have to follow a title? No, not really. Sort of, maybe.
Because you're talking peak, you're talking about that player, not
the peak of that player, but also a difference maker to the point where you were afraid. Were you afraid of James Harden in 2018?
No.
I've never been afraid of KG. I've never been afraid of James Harden. Never been afraid of really Steph Curry, except regular season games when he's shooting from half court. But in the playoffs, I never worried about him. I really didn't. And the guy I worried about was, I'm trying to think what was it was Manu Ginobili was scary sometimes. And for a minute there, Tony Parker, when he really hit his stride, I said, oh, shit, this fucker is never
when
going
they
to not
both
get to the
meshed
basket.
together, man. They were just awful. I hated
it. I attribute greatness, honestly. I know that stats matter, and I'm not trying to downgrade the stats. It is amazing to see a guy dropping 35 a game. It is, from a statistical standpoint, that's crazy. For NBA is very hard, right? NBA is very hard to score in the NBA, and these guys are dropping 35. You got to give it to them. But I attribute greatness to how scary those guys are, how scary a player is. And there's only a few people that scared me. That's just what it is. I don't look at it any other way.
Before we headed out, my friend, I want to mention, I wanted you to hear your thoughts on Dalton Connect, because Anthony Irwin, don't ask him to do an ad read. He says he's got the inside source that Dalton Connect asked the Lakers for a trade. Now, I have a tendency to believe him, because if I was Dalton Connect right now, I'd be asking for a trade myself. But how sad is that it's come to this? If that is in case. How sad?
Well, I think it's inevitable. Let him get a fresh start. There's clearly something affecting him mentally over there, and I think it'd be nice. Can they get a second rounder for him?
He needs a change of scenery. I don't know. That's
if you can get a second round, try to see if you can find somebody that can throw a second rounder in there. And hey, man, hey, good luck and cool. I mean, what else is there to do? What else can they do? Not pick up his option? Okay, then what? Next year it's his last year, right?
Well, no, they don't pick up his option. It's Halloween.
Mm-hmm.
It's the next two Halloweens. Whoever team he's on has the ability to pick up his option for the next two. So he has the team has up to Halloween to decide whether or not they want to keep him for the next season. And I know Halloween is actually right there at the beginning of the next season, but yeah, actually they can. But they won't. They save $4 million.
I think it's as equal as you can get in terms of both parties needing to go another way. Mm-hmm. That's the way this has to go.
Now I know a lot of people feel like hung as far as man, we should have kept Mark Williams. I'm not going to argue too hard either which way, but and I know Mark has played well at times. Well, he's been on the floor. First off, Joe, according to what you heard that initially, that why it was refused, he didn't think he was going to be on the floor, but stats wise, he's not doing any better really than DeAndre Ayton, although he is playing less minutes. But yeah, it's still, I mean, he's only averaging 12 and 8, and block shots a game. He is averaging about a block and a half.
Well, so the Mark Williams thing doesn't really. I don't think things have changed that much. If Mark
does that first round draft pick?
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, the first round draft pick is ultimately what's best in terms of the veto on that, because if the Lakers do get lucky and are able to use that in the next two first round picks that they're going to get here not too long here, a few months, then it's all for the right thing, which is maybe getting lucky and getting that next player that can play with Luka. It's unfortunate that it went the way it did, but it's time to move on. And if there's a way, if they can trade him before the deadline, that'd be great. If not, I'm pretty comfortable that they're probably going to get rid of him by the end of the year or by the summer.
I would agree.
So what are we using to qualify as a role player in the 80s? Does someone like Worthy and or Cooper count? Well, here's the problem with that. Number one, there's only 23 teams in the NBA when James Worthy won the Finals MVP in 1988. And in 1987, Michael Cooper was the Defensive Player of the Year. So how do you call a Hall of Famer a role player, Gerald?
Good question. Again, I would say that's the common question that would be asked, about Robert Horry, about his, possibility of ever him reaching the Hall of Fame status. But he wasn't a star. At any point in time, Cooper wasn't thought of in that realm as far as a superstar is concerned. He was one of the elite defenders in the league, but he was still a guy coming off the bench for all intents and purposes. But maybe you treat him the way you treat Ginobili. But I just think when it comes down to as far as their games are concerned, Ginobili contributed more, I think, over the course of his career than Cooper did. And I don't know. It's just so hard. Do you take him away from that as a rotation player? Or do you, where does Cooper fit in? I understand he's in the Hall of Fame. I love Coop, but I don't know if I would have put him in. I really don't know if I would have put him in.
Here's the thing. When you have only 23 teams, think about that for a second. What is the official roster, the game day roster number, Gerald, in today's game? Is it 14?
Yeah.
Okay, so 14, right?
Actually, it's 15. It's actually 15.
Is it 15? Because I always hear it's 14 and then the 15.
It's 15.
Okay, so you can have 15 players on the bench and playing in the game, right? Right?
Yes.
Okay. So now we're looking at 105 players. 105 players. That's a lot of players, guys, that are now playing in the NBA when they weren't playing in the NBA in 1988. So it would explain why teams like the Celtics, the Lakers, the Pistons had so much talent on their teams. Hell, the Mavericks, the Philadelphia 76ers, what they had, Andrew Toney, Mo Cheeks, Dr. J, Moses Malone. Like these teams were stacked. Is Mo Cheeks in the Hall?
I don't think so. Let me check for sure. I saw him the other day. That's so weird when you mentioned that because I saw him on the bench at that Philadelphia.
So Andrew Toney was one of the best defenders in the league, and then you had Dr. J, and then you had a all-time great in Moses Malone as well. Then you had the Lakers, who had Kareem, Magic, Worthy.
He is in the Hall of Fame.
Okay, I thought he did. So guys, it's a different game. Number one, and also the capabilities are different. You're having 105 players. That's a lot of players, guys. And each of those 7 teams are likely going to have at least one or two, number one, number two options on those teams. So now imagine if those guys get dispersed into the other 23 teams, you're going to have more stacked teams. And the mentality at the time wasn't about whose team it was. Kareem didn't give a shit about whose team it was. He was coached by John Wooden. John Wooden was about team. Kareem cared about team. You never heard, and this is something that people need to understand this. Again, you never heard Kareem's issues were just being a weird guy at that time. I wouldn't call him a weird guy. He's just different, right? But Kareem never had a problem with he never argued with a coach, at least not publicly, and, hey, I need a new coach and all. You never heard that. Bird never did that. Parrish never did that. Never heard Isaiah Thomas saying, hey, you got to get rid of Chuck Day. Like, you didn't hear any of this. Everybody kind of understood there's a hierarchy. And it makes sense, doesn't it? Look at Isaiah Thomas. Who was his coach in college? The general. Bobby Knight. Right?
Watch out for the chair.
John Wooden with Kareem, right? Like, guys like Jamal Wilkes, same thing at UCLA. John Wooden, like these guys didn't think about whose team, who's this, who's that. I think the only one that I think was like that was maybe Adrian Dantley, like one out of every maybe 100 players, maybe. Even Mark Aguirre, when he got traded to Detroit, didn't come in with on the ball. I was the number one pick ahead of Isaiah. I'm going to call the shots here. No, he understood his role. And because he understood his role, that was why they won championships. When a guy that has elite talent accepts a lesser role, it is monumental to winning. So I'm going to segue into this. Gerald, would you say James Worthy is a role player? My answer is hell no. And you know why? James Worthy, who was his coach, the only man that ever stopped Michael Jordan, Mr. Dean Smith. The man, his name is Dean, for God's sakes, and he was the dean, right? Yes. So this man learned under one of the greatest basketball minds, coaches, team concept, so much so that I've always said that Dean Smith left a lot of national championships on the table because he cared more about teaching. That's why I love Nick Saban. Nick Saban was able to do both. That's a miracle when you don't affect the winning on top of the fact that you are, because it's hard sometimes, right? You got to put your foot down. Remember what John Wooden said to Bill Walton when he had his hair long? He said, Bill, practice starts in 1 hour. You better go get this thing. And Bill Walton gets upset and goes, Coach, it's my right to do what I want. He's like, you're right, Bill. It is your right to keep your hair like that. It's also my right to not play it tonight. This is, by the way, I'm paraphrasing what Bill Walton said here. Bill Walton went so fast to the barber, you didn't even know where he went. He came back so quick, right? So keeping together with the time. That's why it's difficult to say things like, oh, if LeBron was in the 80s, he would have got his ass kicked. First of all, LeBron would have grown up much tougher if he had grown up at that time. That's a fact. You wouldn't have seen this LeBron. And we can't teleport human beings back in time or human beings then here. That's a stupid. It's always been the dumbest comment that I hear. What do you mean Jordan would own the league right now? If Jordan grew up in the 90s, he'd be a pussy like all these guys are. It's just it's how they got brought up. Things got softer I said this at the beginning of the show. Society continues to get softer and softer and softer. That's why all those PTA meetings, all those parents that are upset that their kid was this, we don't want kids to be bullied. Okay. Not because a lot of some of these kids end up offing themselves and they're tormented, but that's where the parents need to come in and say, listen, this is life coming at you early now. You need to defend yourself. You need to have enough confidence in yourself to stand up for yourself. It's a test. We don't get tested anymore. Now somebody looks at somebody the wrong way. Right away, it's litigation. Right away, it's, I'm going to sue this person. And then that's how everything gets set up. I'm going to get what I want. I'm going to get my money now. Look how easy I got my money. So that's the mentality change from then and now. You can't compare now, then, and vice versa. It's impossible. Imagine LeBron James, his size, growing up in the 70s. He would have been the best athlete that ever lived. Imagine LeBron with Jordan's tenacity. Goodbye, anybody who plays anything. He would have been Bo Jackson. So that's something to think about, guys. Let's see here. Trevor Lanes. What matters more for the GOAT debate, peak or longevity? In my opinion, both. That's why I have Duncan high and Kobe high. So longevity to me is when the peak how long the prime is and the results of the prime. So when you look at, let's look at Jordan, and then I'm going to go to Kobe next, because they're two different careers. Jordan, when would you say Jordan's prime hit? He came in 84, which is 84, 85, right? That was year one. 85, really. It's the 85 season. What was was 87 the start of his prime, like his third year?
Oh yeah, because we were just talking about it, because that was the year he averaged 37.
Right. But here's the reason why I asked you that question and started there was, are you really going to tell me his peak didn't really start the moment he came to the NBA? Because what did he do in 86 in the playoffs? Dropped 63 in the Garden.
What did he do in his first year as a 21-year-old? 28 points a game. Yeah.
Right. So there's a lot of merit in saying Michael Jordan really never ever the 17 games and the playoff run in 95. That's about it. I don't think Jordan ever didn't have a prime.
And he played, okay, if he didn't get hurt, that would last the entire season. He played every game.
Yes.
You look at it, every single game.
Yes. So I don't think Jordan ever didn't have a prime, excluding the 17-game regular season he played his second year when he broke a bone in his foot, and then the 95 return. That's a lot. And then, of course, I don't ever really count the Washington Wizard run, really.
Good question by JY. If LeBron would have been guarding Jordan instead of Craig Elo, same result?
So why does everyone always point to Craig Elo? Why don't they ever talk about Joe Dumars, Bill Laimbeer, John Sally beating the shit out of him for 3 years?
But they're just talking about that shot, because it's also relating to the Cleveland.
Okay. Okay, so he made a shot over according to you, a substandard defender.
Elo was
let's talk about this.
No, Elo was a good Elo was a decent defender.
I understand the question, so I'm going to throw this back at you all. And again, this isn't defending Jordan or LeBron. I'm just throwing this at you guys. So would you guys say that Craig Elo and JJ Barea are similar talents?
They're different type of players, but okay.
But marginal players, maybe. I think Craig Elo was better than JJ Barea, from my viewing.
I mean, he played so many years in the league, a 6'6" guard who could guard.
You know where I'm going with this, right?
Yeah, I see.
Okay, guys, if you're going to pull Craig Elo every time you guys, the wind blows, and then talk about John Stockton, who, by the way, that guy was a beast. And there's a lot of NBA greats on the 75 team that will confirm that. If you all are picking some random Mark Price, Craig Elo white boy from the late 80s and early 90s and defending that's why Jordan was as good as he was, you're going to lose this argument. Because I'll tell you this right now, there's no fucking way JJ Barea would have stopped Michael Jordan. Ever. I think Michael Jordan could still beat the shit out of, not literally.
But he's just talking about that one shot. If LeBron was
defending... First of all, Greg Elo wasn't the guy guarding him. He was just the guy that fell when Jordan jumped in the air. So I don't know what that means. Okay. That isn't the narrative is a weird one lately. You notice the longer you get away from the past, the more the present dilutes. All of a sudden, it went from Jerry West's era being plumbers to now people in the 90s. Folks, the 90s didn't have, those guys didn't work. They didn't have a second job. These guys were all making a lot of money playing basketball. Half the freaking 75 all-time team are from the 80s and 90s. Like, come on. You guys got to stop. What is it? The prisoners of the moment? You guys are prisoners of the moment here. Don't stop listening to Twitter and X and those idiots online. It's like that stupid Pinocchio nose piece of shit, Nick Wright. Those fucking idiots. That's what fucks all this up. Skip Bayless too. This stupid ass. Okay, where are we here? You guys type pretty quick. Jeez. Gosh, man, that's tough. Obviously.
Is there hope for WWE? What depends on what you mean. As a financial entity, there's still plenty of hope. They're still making tons of cash.
Yes, Aaron. Bob McAdoo is in the Hall of Fame.
Well, no, he's deserving. Yeah, he is deserving of the Hall of Fame. Absolutely.
He's not in?
No, he was asking if he's deserving of the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, Bob McAdoo was arguably one of the best players in the 70s. He was an MVP and a scoring champion. He was legit. A lot of people say he was like the Bill Walton in '86 to the Celtics to the Lakers '82 title team. That he was a big part of why they won that series against the 76ers. Let's see here. Where else are we here? Man, you guys are good with the comments. Elon Musk or Jeff Bezos?
Or Tim Cook?
I don't like Tim Cook.
Or
Tim Cook looks like a guy that wears the skirt in his relationship.
Or Mark Zuckerberg.
He looks like he just wears a skirt, period.
Okay.
If you were to pick who you would want to be, would you want to be Jeff Bezos or Elon Musk?
I guess Bezos.
I'd rather be Bezos too.
Yeah. It's like, do I have to? All right.
I feel like Jeff Bezos has a little bit more grounding.
Yeah, and he doesn't do a Nazi salute at when asked for. But Hong Min Sung, should Derrick Rose made the Hall of Fame? This is something we talked about, Joe. Derrick Rose, another Derrick Rose Hall of Famer. Remember that argument the other day?
No, he's not. But he will. But I don't think he.
I mean, yeah. If these Hall of Famers are putting in,
guys, it's easy. It's easy. It's very easy if you guys just listen to what I'm saying. If you have to ask, he ain't. Seriously, we should have a Gerald. We should have a top 10. Since you have a basketball show, I think that would be we could do a basketball themed one. Since the Naismith Basketball Hall of Fame isn't an NBA Hall of Fame. It's for all basketball, right? So there's a little bit more flexibility there, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we should have a top 10 players that are that are Hall of Famers. Mm-hmm. They're gonna get some of these guys get in anyways, but I'm just saying for what we think. If you have to ask, you aren't. And I've said this in football. Like I've run down the line. Okay, Peyton Manning, yes. Tom Brady, yes. Drew Brees, yes. Dan Marino, yes. John Elway, yes. Like it's got to be like this. And then you throw in: is Larry Johnson a Hall of Famer? Is Priest Holmes a Hall of Famer? How about basketball though? Is Grant Hill a Hall of Famer?
Tracy McGrady was mentioned.
Is Tracy McGrady a Hall of Famer? Those are good questions. Yes, Tracy McGrady was a freak, but is he a Hall of Famer? My answer is no. Blake Griffin, no. Grant Hill would have been, but he's not. But is he getting in because of his Duke stuff? So that's college, right? They have a college Hall of Fame, right?
Or the fact that he's running the USA basketball.
Okay, so USA basketball. So it becomes... So we have to kind of categorize this as a made-up NBA Hall of Fame. Let's make up our own Hall of Fame. Yes, Iverson is definitely a Hall of Famer. Jamal Crawford, no. Ray Guy shouldn't be in a Hall of Fame. Steve Tasker shouldn't be in a Hall of Fame.
Iverson, yes.
Specialized players should not. This is supposed to be all-time greats, not specialists. Robert Horry, God bless him, doesn't belong in the Hall of Fame.
I would say Cooper. I would say Cooper as well.
Who?
Michael Cooper, remember from earlier that we were talking about.
So Michael Cooper, I don't think he's a Hall of Famer either.
Mo Cheeks, his average was 11 points a game.
Not a Hall of Famer. Yeah. But they're very lax with the Naismith Hall of Fame. It's just kind of how it is. Westbrook, yes, because he's statistically and longevity, and he's a Hall of Famer, no doubt. You don't have to win championships to be a Hall of Famer. Dan Marino didn't win a championship. Jim Kelly didn't win a championship. Those guys are bona fide first ballot Hall of Famers. There's no doubt there. But I think we should.
Got something for you.
What was that?
AR's got something for you.
AR, where are you? Oh, here we go. Sorry. Joe and Gerald, do you think Mark Walter will fire all front office next year, including Genie? Who's going to be the next GM of the Lakers? Probably not. Not a fire and brimstone. I'm not. I don't think I could predict that because he actually
Genie, because that's part of the deal.
Genie. Apparently, Mark. So first of all, Mark Walter is a very, very nice man. He's a nice man. He's not a scumbag in any way. He's not. I think about a lot of that sometimes. What if I really tried to be nice? Would it work? Or would it last?
No.
Damn. Anyways.
Remember you tried for a while, just like a couple days to stop cursing, and that. Okay, so here. Can Aaron. Aaron, seriously, man, I keep thinking about that Twins comment, man. I'll randomly think about it, and I'll just bust up. So Aaron quoted an Arnold line, and he had put "Last Action Hero," and it was the line from Twins. He goes, "I did nothing. The concrete was his enemy." And just when he wrote it in the post, I heard it. I watched Twins almost every day for like 5 years when I was a kid, right? So I know that movie like the back of my hand. And I'm like the only guy that ever liked Last Action Hero for some weird reason. I'm like, Last Action Hero was awesome. What do you mean it was bad? So anyways, so he had forgot it wasn't from Last Action Hero. It was from Twins. And then, of course, when I was reading it, I hadn't heard that line in probably 20 years because I haven't seen Twins in 20 years. So I started laughing, and I keep thinking about that line. And then, of course, that was the first time he's ever been wrong on a comment. He's got a memory like an elephant. But anyways, Mark Walter is a nice man, guys. And all you got to do is watch his like 30-second post interview after they won the championship this year. And he's like, we're happy and we were really lucky. I was busted up laughing because that was exactly what I was thinking. But a lot of times people don't talk like that. They start yapping about, oh, this team worked. And they sort of did do that. But for some reason, Mark Walter or Stan Kasten and Friedman, they don't talk in like complete cliche ass. They throw personality in there and good speech, right? So Mark Walter is like, you could tell he was spent. I was spent. I almost died. I felt like I was dying. But Mark Walter's like, hey, man, we got lucky. So that's the kind of guy he is. And I think he gets along with everyone. Gets along with Genie, gets along with all these guys. But there's going to be a time, and he takes his time. Remember, Nick Colletti, who's actually a damn good GM, by the way, guys. Nick Colletti was an awesome GM. If he had kept Nick Colletti, no Dodger fan would have been opposed to that. We loved Nick Colletti. We thought he was great. But he's going to want the number one guy, and you got to phase it out. You got to tap it in. You got to tap it in. A little tap, tap, tappy. A little tap, tap, taparoo. That was the movie, Gerald, that I laughed in a hotel room my first day at State for orientation, to the point where I couldn't, I didn't know where I was. I was laughing so hard. Anyways, Mark Walter is going to slowly get this thing figured out. Not all of it is going to be out this summer. Not all of it is going to be out. He may shift, because of Genie, he may shift responsibility from Pelinka to just the general. He'll probably just keep the title
and then he'll probably bring in a player personnel guy. That's my guess. So, but there's gonna be a shift. There's gonna be a transfer. This thing is going to be put together very similar to what the Dodgers did between 2013, 2015, 2016. So if you notice, if you look at the timeline of the Dodgers, the Mark Walter Guggenheim Group bought the Dodgers in 2012. First year, 2013, playoffs, 14, playoffs, 15, playoffs. Then they got Friedman. Then Friedman fired Mattingly, got Dave Roberts, and then all of a sudden you started seeing the Chris Taylors, the Max Muncies, the Justin Turners, the Bellingers, and then you started seeing that team starting to ascend. And until those pieces of shit in Houston would have likely been a title, at least in 17, 18, another team that cheated, although Dodger fans, at least most of the fans that we know, have kind of sort of forgiven Boston because they gave us Mookie Betts. So if you were to go back in time in 18 and said, Joe, we're going to make a deal with you here. We're going to win the 2018 World Series. And I'm like, right away, I'd be like, no, absolutely not. I'm not doing this deal. No. Let me. No, hold on. Give me a second, Gerald. Give me a second. We win 2018. Okay. And then a year from now, we're going to trade you Mookie Betts, and he's going to at least win 3 titles. At least. He might win 4, he might win 5, might say, but for sure we'll guarantee you 3 championships. Gerald, would you make that trade?
I would.
Okay, there you go. So that was a little bit more forgiving. I think the reason why I'm so pissed off about 17 is Andre Ethier would have won a championship. Puig would have won a championship. Kershaw would have had a World Series MVP. That probably is what a lot of players on that team from the previous regime, the guys that actually helped build what it eventually became, but were part of the old regime that really, like, they were never good enough to go all the way, but they were close. They could have tasted what this dynasty had, right? Even if though it was at the end, they would have had a little taste. There would have been this. Imagine Andre Ethier. He was basically a Dodgers whole career, and imagine how cool would it have been had he won a championship his last year in LA. He was one of the clutchest players for the Dodgers his entire career. Puig, the wild horse, clutch. Imagine if he has a title. And he deserved it. So, I would not worry. I'm still not worried. I implore you guys not to be worried. And this is gonna get done right. And we just gotta wait. We gotta see. We're gonna know a lot this summer. We're gonna know a lot this summer. And I suggest that you guys hang in there just a little bit, and you guys will be. I'm pretty sure you guys will be happy with the direction they're going to go. Yeah, I mean, Boston. I don't know what's going on in Boston. Do you follow baseball like? Do you follow like? Do you know what's going on in Boston?
As far as who they're acquiring or how they're set up.
The fact that they're really not. They're not really aggressive.
No, they're not. They haven't been that way for recent years.
So are they hurting for money, or is he setting up for a sale? Because I heard there's a sale coming.
I think he's setting up for. Because remember who just sold their team in Boston, the Celtics, and they saw what they did as far as a sweet deal. I think that they could be setting themselves up for a sale because they have not been. The usual Boston Yankees try to outbid each other for top talent for quite some time.
So, New York, do you think the Yankees and Boston and the Red Sox are both kind of playing the same business game?
Yes.
Okay. It's interesting how that's the Hal Steinbrenner said that he pays $100 million a year for where, like, I don't know if it's a tax, $100 million a year to have the stadium where it is. Is that right?
I don't know for sure, but I mean, I wouldn't say no.
That's a crazy number. I don't know if that's true. And again, Boston Chicago Cubs owners said that they break even every year. Do you believe that too?
No, I do not.
Okay. So here's something that I've learned recently. There's only one team in Major League Baseball that has to open their books and show people the numbers, and that is the Atlanta Braves, because they're a publicly owned team, much like the Green Bay Packers, right? Mm-hmm. So something to think about for you guys to tell your loser friends that are always yapping about Dodgers buy everything. Put this into consideration. If there is to be a salary cap and a floor and all that bullshit that everybody wants because their team sucks and their owners suck and they're losing and they're losers, that means all 30 owners, all 29 owners plus the 30 that already shows its books, all 30 have to show their numbers. They're going to ask to open up the books. The question is, will they? The answer is abso-fucking-lutely not. So there's going to be a compromise here, folks. The owners are going to be allowed to keep the books closed, except for the publicly funded one or publicly owned ones, which is the Atlanta Braves. The other thing is the players will not have a salary cap, and then they're going to figure out what to do anything below that, whether it's to raise the luxury tax situation, which is a given. Just tell the owners you're going to make a little bit more money, and they'll stop talking about the salary cap. And then I don't know what they're going to do with this deferred shit. Is the deferred money going to still constitute? See, how I would approach this is, how about doing this? If you're going to defer the money, cool. Fine. But then they can meet in the middle here or they can go all the way. But I'm just going to suggest this. How about Ohtani makes $70 million according to the contract, right, Gerald?
Yep.
680 of it is deferred. Okay? That's easy stuff to figure out. They go put it in an escrow account. It collects interest. The Dodgers make money. They pay him out when they've scheduled to pay him out after the 10 years is done, right? Okay, cool. That's easy. How about this? Right now, according to what counts under the luxury tax number, it's $46 million, right? So he gets paid $2 million a year for the next 10 years, but it counts as $46 million in terms of the cap. So now, how about we do this? How about we don't take it down to 46? You still have to pay it. It still has to show 70 million for that year, which means more money in salary cap. I'm sorry, more money in luxury tax, right?
Mm-hmm.
So be on the lookout for that. Now, they might not go all the way. They might say, all right, no, we don't want to do 70. How about we take it up to 60? Okay, fine. Because then there's more money per dollar. For instead of 46, you got another 14 on top of that, and then luxury tax on top of that. That's more money to get spread out for those who stay under the threshold. And again, all the little tedious stuff that they probably want. I don't know what it is, the TV deals and all that. I don't really give a shit. I don't think the Dodgers give a shit. If they come at LA and say, hey, listen, we want X amount of dollars of your TV deal. By the way, they still give a piece of it, but they don't give a lot of it. So do they come and ask, hey, anybody that has a regional contract like the Dodgers have Sportsnet LA and the Yankees have the Yes Network, you guys need to pay X amount of dollars. Now, that's not going to stop the Dodgers. Is this the last question I have for everyone here before we go out? Is the Red Sox, the Yankees, the Philadelphia Phillies, maybe not the Mets only. Toronto, to some degree, still kind of is constrained a little bit, but I would say maybe the Mets, Toronto, and the Dodgers, let's say. Other than those three, all the other 27 teams work within a budget. Low budget, mid budget, high budget, whatever. You can't sit there and say Yankees aren't spending money. They're at, $330 million a year? That's a lot of money. So high, mid, low. Everyone's kind of doing their thing in terms of balancing what they're doing. Toronto, the New York Mets, and the Dodgers don't give two shits about luxury tax or any of that stuff. So is this CBA going to be about stopping those three teams? That's going to be the last question. Is that who you're stopping? Is that who you think is going to be in the World Series every year? Does it matter? Are people really not going to watch baseball? Gerald, can you explain something to me?
Mm-hmm.
If people are not going to watch baseball and the Dodgers are ruining baseball, why were there 51 million people watching the World Series?
Because the general audience doesn't care what the so-called pundits, experts think.
Right. So now let's focus on this for a second. How many Game 7s have we seen in the last, let's say, 20 years?
Off the top of my head.
So we've seen 2019 was Game 7. 2014 was Game 7. 2011 was a Game 7. Obviously, 2025 was Game 7. So we have 4. What else was a Game 7? I think it's been a while. I think Game 7 before that was the 01. It was the 01 series with the Yankees and Diamondbacks. So
51 million people watch because two things, Joe. The Canada-U.S. narrative, that's obviously was big as far as that's concerned.
So they tapped into
also,
3 countries.
Yeah.
So Japan, Canada,
there you go.
and the United States. Now, here's the thing. This is something I want you all to understand. This is very important. Baseball is very, very rare. It's a very rare. It's as rare as as anything in sports. When the number one talent is at the biggest stage on a consistent basis, and the Dodgers and the Yankees played against each other 2 years ago and had the number 1 and 1A and 2 player playing in that series. You're telling me they're going to try to screw that up? You don't think baseball wants Aaron Judge battling Shohei Ohtani again?
I would just say this as well, Joe, that it was the most exciting World Series of all time.
Correct.
Yeah.
And the reason why that is because it was so ridiculously unrealistic in how some of these games played out. A ball getting stuck under the fence, a center fielder running over the left fielder who was going to do a Willie Mays. Instead, he bowled this. And I told this to Jeff, and I just saw it again in Game 4 of this Phillies series. Andy Pages, I wanted to go over the fence and go choke him because of this reason. He has been doing that all year. He hovers around pop flies. I'm like, what are you doing? Get away. He's already called it. Even in Game 4, I was just watching the replay. Game 4, Kike is trying to catch the ball, and here comes Pages behind him doing this. I'm like, what the fuck are you doing that? You're going to scare him or something. He's going to drop the ball. And look what happened. Arguably, Verducci was talking about this, the big baseball guy on MLB Network, and Costas. He said it's the greatest catch in baseball history. And then Costas comes back out with, I think he was going to mention Willie Mays' catch. He goes, but that was Game 1 in 54. It wasn't Game 7, 2 outs. The best statistical hitter in playoff history in Clement, who had 30 hits in the playoffs, for God's sakes. 30 hits. And here we are. Here all year, I'm getting irritated by Pages hovering around guys when they're trying to get a freaking pop-up, and he runs over Kike and catches the ball. Anyways, the point is, you have that play. You have Barzier's bouncer to Rojas tripping and getting a strike right to Will Smith, who lifted his foot and then brought it down, and it was literally 2 inches from a win. Literally 2 inches. And then home run here, home run there. It was the greatest because you had every conceivable, weird, unrealistic, no way this can happen play all in a week and a half series. Definitely all in 6 and 7. So, yeah. that played a huge part as well. But again, setting the stage for the best players in this game, and they're at the highest level. You don't get that, guys. You don't get that on a regular basis. It's very rare in baseball, and I don't think baseball wants to lose that. I don't think baseball wants to leave next year if there's another World Series, even if it's a blowout, even if it's whatever. If there's 50 million people watching the World Series in that World Series, they're not going to want to. They'll lock out, but I don't think they're going to miss a season. Missing the season is not going to happen. And for me, this is going to be even better because I love the 2020 detractors. Love them. Eat them up like a protein shake. It doesn't matter what you think. It's legit because it's in the books. So get off your little fantasy land that you're in. It's a championship. And by the way, we're due that championship. We already had a championship taken away from us, so you can eat a dick. How about that? You want us to exchange the 2020 ring? And stop saying Mickey Mouse ring. It was in fucking Texas, you stupid fucks. Not in Orlando, not in Disney World. It was in Texas. There is no Disneyland or Disney World in Texas. So get your shit together. Idiot morons. That's how I know people just parrot everything they hear online. You could always tell when they use the Mickey Mouse ring, you know that they're parroting what they heard. They don't have their own way of thinking. It's just all that bunch of you can spot a follower, you can spot a bootlicker just by those little comments. Like it didn't come from them. Bring something to the table with some knowledge instead of listening to some jerk off online that's probably a bot in Russia, China, Bangladesh, just fucking with you, by the way. Like, grow some balls. Have your own identity. So, you want me to not count 2020? All right, motherfuckers, give me the 17 title then, and I'll give you back to 2020. Until then, shut the fuck up. So, that's my button on the night. Gerald, I want to thank you for being here tonight. Everyone here, a lot of first timers, got a lot of subs. Guys, thank you so much. Haven't had a smorgasbord experiment in a while. Usually it's been themed, but it's nice to be able to kind of bounce in and out of all the stuff and talk about good stuff here. So thank you all again. Aaron, Search, Sun, BC, all the new guys. Again, if I missed any of you guys, please, I'm thinking of you anyways. Have a great morning. Have a great afternoon. Have a great evening. And if you want to get a hold of me, just put the OXperiment in all social media areas. You will find me. You can also comment on the post here. If you guys want to talk to me directly as well, just go ahead and do that. And I'm usually pretty good and pretty quick at answering it. But until then, until next time, we'll see you next time.